Hello everyone, welcome to the Sandpoint online lecture series. My name is Anchat Lakhanpal and I have done my MTech from IIT Delhi. Now here in this lecture, we are starting with the introduction part of the strength of materials. So we are going to discuss what are the weightage of this subject in various competitive exams. Then we are going to see the important topics that we have to study in this subject, and along with that a small brief introduction of the subject we will be dealing in this lecture. So let's start. So here if I talk about the strength of material, so first time you people have been introduced with this subject in your second semester or maybe in third semester, and this is one of the foundation subject of civil engineering, because all the structural subjects which you study in the later part of the engineering like RCC, then we have steel structures and structure analysis, they all are dependent on the concepts which we study in the strength of material. Or simply I can say that this subject is the backbone of the civil engineering, because in every exam you are going to find questions from this particular topic. And not only this, in the interviews also, this is one of the subject from where maximum questions are asked in the interviews. So let's see what is the weightage of this subject in various exams. So first exam which I am discussing here is GATE exam. So in GATE the weightage is around 7 to 8 marks. So every year you can expect around 7 to 8 marks from this particular subject. Then if we talk about Indian Engineering Services or ESC Engineering Services exam, so out of 150 questions in the prelims paper, 20 questions will belong to the strength of material only. So you can see the high weightage of this subject, and also in the mains also this subject plays an important role. If I talk about SSC JEE, so out of 100 marks or 100 questions, you can expect around 10 marks from this particular subject only, that is the SSC JEE. Similarly in mains also it carries a higher weightage. Coming to the WRD exam, so recently this HK region, for HK region this WRD paper was being conducted. So there around 7 marks were allocated for this strength of materials only. Coming to KPWD, the most important, and I know most of you are preparing for this exam only. So if I talk about the assistant engineer, for AE people the weightage of this subject is quite huge. Previously when the exam was conducted, there we have seen that around 33 questions out of 100 problems were from strength of material only. So you can see that around 33% is the weightage, which is the maximum among all the other subjects which are there in the syllabus. Then if you people are interested in going for the masters, so in Karnataka exam called as PGCET is conducted. So here the weightage is around 10 to 15 marks. So here the weightage basically varies year to year, but on an average it remains between 10 to 15 marks. Now let's discuss what are the various topics that we have to deal in the strength of material. So the first part will be the introduction part, where we are going to see how this subject has been originated, and then we are going to compare it with other subjects like engineering mechanics also is one of the subject which we study in our basics of engineering. So how this subject is different from it, that we are going to deal here. What is the objective of studying this subject? Most of the students find it difficult to understand why we are studying this subject, why we are finding the stress and strains. So to clear everything, I have made this particular video where you are going to understand clearly what is the importance of the subject and what is the application of the subject with respect to civil engineering. Then we have simple stress and strains. Again, one of the most important chapter from where you are going to experience or you may find many questions from this topic. So I am marking a tick here because this is an important topic from strength of material. Next we have SFD BMD. Now if you go to interviews, most of the time they will ask you to draw the SFD and BMD on the paper. So this chapter also plays an important role. You should know how to draw SFD BMD for different loading conditions and for different types of beams and frames. Coming to the next one, bending and shear stress. So direct formulas are there. So these chapters are this chapter basically is a easier chapter with respect to other chapters, because directly you have to remember the relationships. Then again, a big chapter, that is principal stress and strain, and the most important one. So here I am putting 2 tick marks, because in every exam the question will come from here, that is the principal stress and strain. Now here we were dealing only with simple stress and strain, that means only one single type of loading is being acting here. But here multiple loadings are there, like the bending is also happening, twisting is also happening, axial load is also there. So for these multiple loadings we have to go for the principal stress and strain, where we will be dealing with different types of stresses together. Then we have theory of failure. Although the weightage of this subject topic is less, but the practical application of this topic is quite huge. So we'll see what are the various theories which we need to study in theory of failures. Then we have some smaller topics like pressure vessels, columns, spring, shear center. So these are some smaller topics from where rarely questions are asked. They are asked, but the chance of asking from these topics is bit less. But if I talk about again torsion is an important topic. Questions are commonly asked from here as well. And the most important, again I'm marking double tick here as well, that is the deflection of beam. So if I talk about this KPWD exam where 33 questions were asked, so around 10 questions were from deflection of beam only, followed by the second important one is the principal stress and strain. 7 to 8 questions were from here, and then this chapter simple stress and strain. So these topics which I have marked as important, you cannot skip them for any exam which you are preparing for. Although we have to study all of them, all are important because question can be framed from anywhere, but still these topics which I have marked, these are the most important ones. And for understanding of these topics, we should know all the topics and in a proper sequence. So we should know what are the various concepts, then only a proper understanding will be built in order to solve the question in the exam. Now most of the students, they find this subject to be difficult, reason being the theoretical questions are quite less, because maximum they are going to ask only numericals. Now numericals, although you people find them difficult, but I can assure you that after going through this lecture series, it will be very convenient for you people to solve previous year questions from any of these exams quite easily. So this subject I find myself is the most easiest subject. Reason being, here we do not have to study any theory. There are only certain standard results or equations which we have to learn, and we should know when we have to use which equation. So the understanding of this subject is quite important. This is the most easiest subject. This is my challenge for you people, that after going through this lecture series, this will become one of your favorite subjects. Earlier I was also scared during my BE time, but after completing my BE, when I studied this subject again, this became one of my favorite subjects. So I hope that for you people also, this journey will be fruitful with me. So let's start. Now strength of material is also known by some other names like the mechanics of solids, mechanics of material, and solid mechanics. So these are different names for the same subject. Now here if we observe, there is one term which is common, that is called as mechanics. Now mechanics is basically that branch of physics in which we study about the forces and the effect of the forces on various types of bodies. So the body is subjected to the forces, and on the application of these forces, how the body is going to behave, that we have to study. So that branch is called as mechanics. Now this is further classified into various categories based on the type of body on which the forces are acting. Like suppose we have studied one subject, soil mechanics. So there the forces were acting on the soil, and we are going to see what is the effect of those forces, how the behavior of the soil will change. So that is the focus in the soil mechanics. Similarly, we have one subject, fluid mechanics. Simple meaning that the forces are acting on the fluid and we have to see the behavior of the fluid. Something similar is happening here also in strength of material. Now my body is a solid body, that's why the name is solid mechanics, another name for strength of material. Now here again forces are applied, but now this time they are applied on the solids. And one more branch is there, that is engineering mechanics. Here we consider our body to be rigid body. Rigid body basically means that there won't be any kind of deformation when we are applying the force on the body. So let's consider an example for this. So suppose if I have a block something like this. This is a block which is resting over a horizontal surface. And now we are applying a force, horizontal force on this block, something like this. So what will be the effect on this block due to this force, that we have to study under the engineering mechanics. Now since this is a rigid body, that means no deformation is going to happen, no change in shape, no change in dimension, no stress will be there, no strain will be there. So these are the assumptions which we take in the engineering mechanics. We never discuss about stress and strain in the engineering mechanics because our body is a rigid body. So if I apply this force F, what can happen to the body? So we know that when force will be applied, friction will be acting in the opposite direction. So if this force magnitude is greater than the friction, so during that time we are going to observe this block will slide and it will start moving in horizontal direction. So I can say that on the application of this force we are going to observe displacement. So displacement will be there. This body can also attain certain velocity and acceleration. So these are also the effects of this force on this body that is considered to be rigid. Now ideally there is no rigid body, perfectly rigid body we cannot have. This is a hypothetical concept we can say, which we have considered in engineering mechanics. But when I come to the solid mechanics or the strength of material, now here we have deformable bodies. So suppose now my body is something like this. This is my member and now the forces are acting on it something like this. So I have applied compressive force on my member. Now when we are going to apply such force, the effect will be that my member is going to get compressed. Its length will reduce, its diameter will increase. So let me draw the deformed shape also. So it will deform something like this. The diameter will increase or the width will increase and the length will reduce. This is a deformed shape. Now since here we are considering our body to be deformed body. So if the length is reducing, diameter is increasing, that means this will lead to the introduction of stress and strain. So here the effect will be in the form of stress and strain. While in this case the effect was coming in the form of displacement, velocity, acceleration. Now coming to the last one, fluid mechanics. So here the body that we have are the fluids, and fluids we know they come under the category of continuous deformable bodies. So if I consider an example of water, water is a fluid. So if we apply a very small, infinitely small force over the water, what is going to happen? The water will start flowing. The flow of that water is basically telling us the deformation that is happening in the water. So due to a very small force also, we are going to see large deformation in these kind of bodies which are called as fluids. So that's why we are calling them as continuously deformable bodies. So here we have understood how the mechanics have been further divided or classified into various categories. For rigid body we have engine mechanics, for deformable bodies we have solid mechanics, and for continuously deformable bodies like fluids we have fluid mechanics. One more you can write, soil mechanics. So that is for the behavior of the soil on application of the forces. If we want to study, that will come under the soil mechanics. Now the same concept I want to make you understand with the help of stress strain curve. So if I talk about the stress strain curve, so stress strain curve looks something like this. Here we have on y-axis stress and here we have strain. Now I want to draw stress strain curve for all these three bodies. So if we have rigid body, so rigid body basically means that there won't be any kind of deformation in that. That means strain value will be 0 irrespective of the force that we are applying. So here we are applying F equal to 100 kilonewton or 1000 kilonewton, no deformation is going to be there in the body. So if I have to draw this diagram of stress and strain for the rigid body, how it will look? It will be basically on y-axis or sigma axis. So this is axis belongs to the engineering mechanics or the rigid body, because the strain value will remain 0. Now coming to the fluid mechanics. So in fluid, even on applying very small force, we are going to see large deformations. That means the strain value will be quite huge in this case. So here, if I have to draw the ideal fluid, so ideal fluid will be along the x-axis or the strain axis. Coming to the strength of material, which is for the deformable bodies. So here, considering the example of mild steel. So for mild steel, we know that diagram is something like this. This is the stress strain curve. So this region which is between these two axes, that belongs to the strength of material or the solid mechanics. So in engineering mechanics, we are on the y-axis. For fluid mechanics, we are on the x-axis. And for this solid mechanics or strength of material, we are going to plot something in between stress and strain. So this is how we can understand about the difference between these subjects, how this engineering mechanics is different from the solid mechanics. So now let's understand what is the objective of studying this subject, why it is important for us to learn this subject and where it will help for us. So the main objective is we have to derive some equations or relationships in order to find the stress and strain that are going to occur in a body due to various type of loadings. Various loadings can be the axial load, which can be compressive tensile, there can be bending moment, there can be twisting moment. So these are the various loading conditions due to which various types of stresses will be developed on the body. So we have to find those stresses using certain equations which we are going to derive through the strength of material. And in doing so, we'll be taking the help of some of the properties of the material. So which properties? Elastic properties of the material will be used in order to establish those relationships. And those elastic properties are like capital E, which is the Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, G is the shear modulus, K is the bulk modulus. So using these elastic properties, we can establish certain relationships. Like I can give you an example. Suppose a bar is there and we are pulling that bar. So delta value, delta will be written as PL upon AE. PL upon AE. So here we are using the property of the material in order to find the deformation in a bar which has been subjected to either tensile axial load or compressive axial load. So this is the formula. I am not discussing the derivation here. I am just giving an example here that with the help of this we can find the value of the strain, or delta L also I can write, or simply delta. Similarly, we can find the value of stresses also. You might have studied about this equation. Sigma by Y is equal to M by I is equal to E by R. This is called as bending equation. So here also we can relate our bending stress with the property of the material, that is capital E. Even the property of the section, that is capital I, moment of inertia, can be utilized in order to find the value of stress. So we have to basically derive such expressions in order to find the value of stress and strains that are going to develop in our members. Now what will happen if we get these values? Suppose I have known this value that delta will be this much. Sigma also I have computed. Where we will be using them? So these will be used in designing the members. Suppose we have to design a beam. So how much should be the diameter of the beam, or what should be the width or depth of the beam? If we have to design that, we should know the stress and strain that is going to come in that beam. So let's understand that concept with the help of the design criteria. So whenever we talk about the design, primarily we are looking for a material. First of all, we have to select the material, that whether I have to cast that beam with the concrete or with the cast iron or with the mild steel or with any other material. So first we have to select the material. So for selecting the material also, these properties of the material play a significant role. Then shape, we have to decide whether we should go for a circular cross section, we should go for a rectangular cross section, square cross section, or any other shape. And last, we have to decide the dimension. So whenever we are interested in finding the dimension, for that we have strength of material. So using the concepts of strength of material, we can find the dimension of the member. Let's consider one more example. Suppose we have a fan which is there on the ceiling. I want to design the rod of the fan which is holding the three blades. I want to design that. Designing basically means I want to find its dimension. Material already we have selected. Shape we know, cylindrical shape we are going to provide for the fan rod. So now I am interested in finding how much should be the diameter. So first of all, I should know what are the forces which are going to act on that particular rod. So one force will be acting in the downward direction, that is the weight of the blades which will be acting in the downward direction. So due to this, a downward force will be acting on our rod. Along with that, when the blades are going to rotate, so that time a twisting moment will also be coming on our rod. So are two types of forces which are acting. So now due to these two types of forces, we will be determining what are the value of stresses and strains. What stress or what maximum value of stress will be coming on this rod. Now coming to the criteria. First criteria is strength criteria. So using the strength criteria, already I have calculated the maximum stress in the fan rod. So this maximum stress should be less than the permissible stress. Now how to calculate this permissible stress? This is also known as allowable stress or working stress. Now how to find this value? So this can be determined using the simple relation, that is the failure stress divided by factor of safety. Now failure stress can be either written as Fy, that is the yield stress, or it can be written as Fu. Fu is the ultimate stress. So in case of ductile materials, I am going to discuss this part in the later also. This Fy is considered for the ductile materials, whereas the ultimate strength is considered for the brittle materials. So simply if we can put here Fy or Fu, we can find the value of the allowable stress or the permissible stress. Now once I have this value, I will be utilizing this equation. My maximum stress developed should be less than this value. So I have one condition here. So using this condition, I am going to determine what should be the dimension of my rod of the fan. Another criteria we have, that is the rigidity criteria. So we have already calculated how much is the stress. Now we are talking about strain or the deformation. So if I know that the maximum deformation that is going to happen is this much, so I have to check for the safety that whatever is the maximum deformation, that should be less than the permissible value. So we can use these two equations to safeguard our structure. That means for design purpose, we will be ensuring these two conditions. And from both the conditions, we will get the value of diameter of the rod. One value we are going to get from here, another value we are going to get from here. Whichever is maximum, that we are going to apply for the design of the rod of the fan. Now let me consider a small example also, so that you can understand the things in a better way. And let me just give you a review of what I have said just now. So here I have said that we are interested in finding the maximum value of stress and strains which will be developed in our member due to various kind of loadings. Now loadings can be the tensile loading, compressive axial loading, bending, shear, torsion. These are the different types of loading, due to which stresses will be there, strains will be there. We are interested in finding those values of stress and strain. So from where we will get that? We will get that from the strength of material. Now once we have the value of stress and strains, we want to design the members, that what should be the diameter or what should be the dimension of the member. So that will be decided from these two criteria. So from here, if we satisfy these two conditions, we can find the dimension of the member also. So let's consider one small example so that we get a clear picture of this. So here now we have the example. Here we have a prismatic bar. Prismatic bar means that the cross-section area of the bar remains constant throughout its length. That means if diameter is d here, so throughout the length, the diameter will remain same. and also the area will remain same. So such a bar is called as prismatic bar. The sigma permissible value is known to us, as well as delta permissible value is also known to us. So let's say that this value is x and this value is y. Now our task here is to determine what should be the diameter of this bar. We have to find the diameter of this bar such that the permissible stress is x and the delta permissible is y. So we are going to apply those two criteria. One was the rigidity criteria and the other was the strength criteria. So let's go by the first criteria, strength criteria. Strength criteria. So strength criteria says that whatever is the maximum stress which is going to get developed in our member, that should be less than sigma permissible. So let me write that. So sigma max should be less than or equal to sigma permissible. And in this case, sigma permissible I am writing as x. This is our first condition. Now what will be the value of sigma max? So in this case, sigma I can write it as P upon A. The sigma max can be written as P upon A. So P upon A should be less than or equal to x. Now this area, this is the cross section area. So suppose this bar is circular bar. So in case of circular bar, I can write it as P upon pi by 4 d square should be less than equal to x. This should be less than equal to x. So from here I am getting one condition of the diameter. So from here I can write my diameter should be greater than or equal to 4p upon pi x under root. This is the first condition which is coming from strength criteria. Similarly, I can write with respect to the rigidity criteria also. So with respect to rigidity criteria, so from here we know that the delta max value should be less than or equal to the delta permissible, and delta permissible I have considered it to be capital Y. Now what will be the delta max in this case? So we know that delta is PL upon AE. So let's write that PL upon AE should be less than or equal to Y. Further I can write area to be pi by 4 d square. So let's do that. So PL upon pi by 4 d square into E should be less than or equal to Y. So another condition I am going to get from here for the diameter. So my D should be greater than or equal to 4PL upon pi E into Y under root. This is my condition. So one condition I have got from here, that is strength criteria. One condition I am getting from here. Now suppose this value, I am just taking a random value. This is coming out to be say 20 mm from here, and from here I am getting this value that D should be greater than or equal to say 30 mm. So using these two criteria I am getting two different diameters. So from here which one I will be picking? I have to pick the maximum value. My diameter should be more than these two values. Why? Because suppose I am keeping the diameter as 25. If I am keeping the diameter as 25, this strength criteria will be satisfied since 25 will be greater than 20. But due to the failure in the rigidity criteria, I cannot keep the value as 25, because with the value of 25, the requirement here is that diameter should be greater than 30 mm. So due to the deflection, my member or the rod will fail. So here we have to pick the diameter such that which is maximum of strength criteria, the diameter which we are getting from the strength criteria, and the diameter which we are getting from the rigidity criteria. So here I will provide the value of 30 or somewhat greater than 30. But this doesn't mean that we are going to provide 50 mm, because if we are going to provide 50 mm, it will be safe, but the cost will increase. If the diameter we are providing to be 50, then the cost will increase. So we have to provide somewhat bigger than this value, say 32 mm or 30 mm, so that much is sufficient. So from here we have understood one thing, that by using the equation of the strength of material, this P by A's relation is coming from strength of material. Similarly, PL upon AE, this is also the concept from the strength of material. So by finding the stress and the deformations from the strength of material, we are able to design our members. So the example which I took for the rod of the fan, there the forces are multiple. One, P force is acting downward due to the weight of the fan, and one twisting moment will also be there. One twisting moment will also be there, that is say T, because the fan is going to rotate. So due to the application of these two forces together, now we have to again find what is the maximum stress and what is the maximum deflection in this case, and accordingly we'll be able to design the rod of the fan. But here, since multiple stresses are being applied, we cannot apply the same equations. We have to go for some different concept which we are going to study in the later chapters. So basically here we have to apply the theory of failures. There is a separate chapter for that, where multiple stresses are coming. We will be utilizing the theory of failure for the design of the member. So here my concern was to make you understand why we are studying this subject. So here we are basically doing analysis. In strength of material, we do not do the designing. We are simply doing the analysis, where we are finding the value of stress and strains due to different types of loadings or due to the multiple loadings. And while finding these two values of stress and strains, we can design the members. So designing we will see in the other subjects, like RCC is there, steel structure is there. So there we do the design part. But whatever basic equations we need to know before the design, that we study in the strength of materials. So I hope now this concept is clear, and this is just an introductory lecture. We are going to understand many more concepts, something similar, more interesting, which you might have not heard before. So stay tuned with these classes. So further we are going to complete this entire subject, and I'm sure that after the completion of the entire course, you will be able to understand each and every concept from the strength of material, and also you will be in a position to solve all the numericals which have been asked in various kind of competitive exam from this topic. So that's all from my side. Thank you.